Mike Rider Deep Talk. Menschen, Business, Diskussionen. Der Mike Rider Podcast.
Hey, welcome everyone to Mike Rider Deep Talks, the Mike Rider podcast. Disclaimer, today is in English because I have an international guest with me. Today is Marianella Pereira. She's a TV host, actress, voice actress, food blogger, mom. Have I forgotten anything?
I think you pretty much nailed it. And my name said perfectly.
Yes.
Marianella.
That is my Latin Romanian ancestry.
Me gusta,
Yes.
me gusta. It happens very rarely.
De nada.
Gracias.
Tell me about yourself. Other than this was basically your CV introduction. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where do you come from? Where do you go? How do you unite all these full-time careers basically under one?
Yeah, it's a loaded question. It's well, I'm originally from Buenos Aires, so I was born in Buenos Aires, which is why when I speak Spanish, I don't speak with an accent. And I was raised in the Maryland, D.C. area. So actually, my parents, half the side of my family were all doctors. The other half were entertainers, dancers. My mom and dad were actually international tango dancers, as per usual. And I basically made the backstage of many theaters around the world my home. So from a very early age, I was very into performance and theater and dance. And around the age of 5, they were like, okay, I guess we got to settle somewhere so this little one can go to school. It was a bit of a traveling circus, but that's where I kind of soaked in my love for culture and food. And we'll cut to that later. That's the foodist part.
Yeah, food blogger. I forgot that. I think.
Yeah, well, wellness, travel, I kind of like blended it all together when people were like, stay in one lane. I'm like, I refuse. Forget this algorithm. So yeah, we moved to the States when I was 5, and I was raised in the Maryland, D.C. area. And then, yeah, I was a nerd, super into school. And then.
But school nerd or like Dungeons and Dragons nerd?
Both.
Both? Really?
Yeah. I don't want to date myself, but like
I'm intrigued.
Sega
Tell
Genesis,
me more.
Atari, Nintendo nerd, like that
Okay.
kind of a nerd. But no, yeah, very much into school type of nerd. And that's why when I told my mom, like, hey, I'm going to, give this whole entertainment thing a try. Ay, Dios mío, gasped with horror. But yeah, I basically moved to New York, and my very first gig actually was in LA. I take that back. I first moved to LA. I finished school. I was like, Mom, summa cum laude, are you happy? Great, here's the degree, worthless, sitting on my wall, like plastered on my wall. And then, yeah, I got on a plane with nothing, went to LA and booked, at the time it was Howard Stern Station on 97.1 KLSX. I booked a 4-hour talk radio. As you can see, it's really hard for me to speak for a lengthy period of time. So they were like, she's never going to get the gig.
Yeah, this is the 7th take, by the way. We're trying to get something out of her here.
They're just like, shut up, bitte. So that was the first gig. And then the second gig was for a VJ spot in New York, which definitely didn't suck. That was insane. I remember I spent 3 months auditioning for that role, and it was for a channel called Fuse. This is like, I guess MTV's competitor. But at the time, I mean, even now people are like, what's Fuse? No one knows. It's like reinvents itself every year. But it's still around. And at the time, it actually did feature music and music video and musicians. Yeah, the gig was kind of that. I had to audition for it. They had a nationwide audition in the States, and it was brutal. I mean, I even got to the point where, I was not above like murdering someone. At that point, it was like between me and one other girl, and I was like, give me her address. I literally cannot take the stress anymore, because it was such a big opportunity. And imagine, it's like year 1 of me in like show business, and I was just like, I'm so close.
So you were about to Tonya Harding her.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean, I was considering it. It's just like, that's how, like, you don't know what you're capable of until you're like, okay, this is getting, like, this stress is too brutal. No, but I ended up with the gig, and it was amazing. It was a 5-year live show in front of Madison Square Garden for Fuse. I was the original VJ, me and like 4 other champs way back in the day. But it was amazing. So it's like, imagine your first TV show is live. So that's like, I came from radio, and then that kind of, they just threw me into the lion's den because I went right to live television. I mean, yeah, it was just the best job ever, interviewing some of the world's greatest musicians and actors and actresses, and all live across from the Garden. Like, it doesn't get more better than, it doesn't get better than that. That was kind of like, I started off like, whoa, from the roller coaster ride, was like, woo.
The highest of highs.
Yeah.
So this is show business, actually? This is always like this?
No.
Okay.
It was like, it's what they referred to as the golden handcuffs. So incredible experience, but it is a lot. I mean, doing a show live every single day for 5 years is pretty daunting. Like, you're sick, you have bronchitis, we don't care.
You have a contract too.
I mean, I get like 2 weeks off a year for 5 years. And my family was in the Maryland, D.C. area. So I was doing that like drive New York, D.C. like crazy. And then after that, which was all music video related, live show, then yes, I catapulted into the world, just to make this very long intro brief. I catapulted into the world of sports. I did a lot of sports coverage for ESPN, Fox Sports, CBS Sports, everything from college football to NFL to, I don't know, you name the sport, I covered it pretty much. But my personal favorite will always be Fußball. Ich bin Argentinian.
Okay.
Natürlich.
So the real football.
Bitte, yes. The number one world sport that, like, every time I wanted to do a piece at ESPN, they were just like, foosball. I'm like,
the one with the less concussions.
I'm like, Americans, catch up. The world knows what's up. And then from there, I did tons of other entertainment shows and travel show. I did a lot with Travel Channel for my own travel series. So I can't complain. It's been like 2 decades of like, woo.
That really sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then I moved to LA. Sorry, that's the part I left out. After 6 or 7 years in New York, then I moved to LA for about 11 years, and that's where I kind of got into everything, like poker, sports, all this.
LA stuff.
LA was just, they were like, what do you want to host? And then, of course, there was even a show called like Dance Cam Slam, which was so much fun for VH1. And then there were shows that were like ridiculous that I was just like, breaks. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you'd have to like pick and choose, and my agents were like, but it pays so well. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I don't like, what is the show? Like, the ridiculousness of Hollywood. So sometimes you just have to say no. But overall, I've always hosted like stuff that I've been super passionate about and allowed me to be me.
Cool. Let me cut back to the music show. We know each other a little bit, but when I went through your website, your like interview partner list looks like my youth and childhood dream bucket list. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm
like, really, let me guess, like Robert Smith, The Cure, Slash stuff. Like, who do you like? Who do you love?
I would rather. I mean, depending. First, Metallica. Interviewing Metallica.
Amazing.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But then 50 Cent, Eminem, Gwen Stefani, Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin James. Come on.
Yeah.
So you've pretty much had everybody in front of.
And I actually punched Kevin James in the face. Yeah. True story. It's on my reel.
Yeah.
Imagine that PR when I tried to tell the producers, I was like, but I got this bit idea. That was the cool thing. The ESPN show briefly was like, it was ESPN's first late night entertainment show. So we got to like go off the rails a little bit, which I was like, yes, I'm perfect for this. Okay. We got a little wild. It was live every night at midnight. And so the ESPN has this thing. I got shipped to Connecticut, to the mothership where the studios were all once upon a time were. And they have this thing called the car wash at ESPN. So when celebrities come, they do this like very like, okay, it's the car wash. They go on here, they go on Sports Center, they do all the bits. And they're pretty boring and like bland and very safe because it's Disney. So it's like, Achtung. But not on my show. Unite, we got to have a little bit more fun. So when Kevin James came on, he was doing this like MMA movie, and then I was just like, it'd be so great if I just like punch him in the face, right? And they were like, we don't think so. I'm like, let me just ask him. And of course, I was like, Kevin, I was like, we're gonna do a bit, and like, can I punch you in the face? He's like, of course. And the first punch, I was like such a wimp. I was like, I really couldn't, like, that's where my acting failed. I was like, so many years of theater and I couldn't do it. And then he's like, come on, that's all you got? And then I was like, all right, I'm going to sock it to him. And he literally just like laid out on the floor. I mean, obviously theatrics, but Really fun show where we got to do so many fun sketches or bits. And we were a part of that. Like at ESPN, there are no writers. So we write our own content. Of course, it has to be cleared by my EP. And
what's an EP?
Executive producer. That guy was a nightmare.
But it was his job
we
to
did
be a
not
nightmare.
get along. You know who you are. But yeah.
Yeah, spill the tea, spill the beans, however
yeah.
you say it. No, I just wanted to ask you, apart from obviously heavy name dropping, if you look back to all these famous people, who would you? I mean, I don't know if you know that there's a game like who would you invite to dinner?
Yeah.
Like 3 persons. Who would you invite from all your interview guests?
Yeah.
Who was for real and who was like meh? Or
It's crazy because they were all so amazing, and I have so many weird, fun, interesting stories on all of them. Like 50 Cent, for example, like Fuse got that interview with 50. We're talking like in the club 50. I mean, like his album just dropped, like world phenom. And we got him first. And by we, me, which sounds weird, but like I got to interview him. And we, Fuse got him before MTV did, and that was a really big deal. And I remember that he came on and I was like, are you wearing your bulletproof vest? Because we were at like Madison Square Garden, floor level studios, like big windows. Hello, like this is it's dangerous out in these streets on 7th Avenue. And I remember saying like I had my bulletproof bra on like during the interview just in case, and he was just cracking up. Super nice guy, super smart guy as well. The same thing with Manson. Talk about dinner. I mean, actually, Marilyn Manson invited me to dinner, and not on that level. It was me. I knew his manager very well. And we all went out to dinner and I will never forget this. We must have talked for like 3.5 hours. It's like, just imagine, like in the middle of New York. I think we were at Nobu. I don't even remember, but me, like Manson and his manager. And at the end of this like 3-hour dinner where I just was completely shocked at how incredibly intelligent Marilyn Manson is. And I'm not saying the whole thing is a shtick, but kind of, But at the very end, when he went to apply his lipstick and he had the same like MAC lipstick color as I did, and I was just like, surreal. Just one of those like weird moments where it's like it stays in your mind forever. You're just this is cool, like dinner with Manson. But I have so many stories on. The only one that was a real nightmare was Andy Dick. Mainly because he was intoxicated.
Oh, okay.
Live during the show.
Okay. So
and Eminem was amazing. He came on with D12. He dry humped my leg, but I was fine with it. This was like. Yeah. I was like, it's M. He's crazy. Then he like took his pants down and was like doing all these crazy things. And you have to remember, I'm live. I have a IFB in my ear. The producer's like counting me down. I mean, with Andy Dick, I remember like my producer being like, Godspeed. I don't know what to tell you except like, let's just hold on to this until like you're almost done. I mean, it was scary. The PR person was like sweating bullets from the sidelines. He was just like, it was like this young PR person from New York. And yeah, I could see just the sweat dripping down her face. Like, please don't say anything horrific, which he did, but I can't even say that on this podcast.
You can say everything on this podcast. I mean,
no,
trust me,
I can't.
What legal trouble comes after this? This is your problem.
Trust me, I don't even want to say. Just like Google Andy Dick Fuse TV, and then like you'll.
Okay.
It's brutal. It was brutal.
I see.
I handled it well though. Oh boy, but yeah, there was never.
I mean, there's always people behind these personas, right? I know that, for example, Marilyn Manson, because you mentioned him, and in my teens, I was also a huge fan, and I was flabbergasted reading that he wanted to become a kindergarten teacher. Yeah, actually, like in the first place, and obviously he's a highly intelligent and emotionally, person that has just this shtick, as you called it, this persona that just doesn't, it's the complete opposite.
Complete opposite, yeah. That's why after like a 3-hour dinner, I was like, so much respect for Manson. Such a nice guy. Like, also like wasn't creepy. It wasn't like, ooh, let's go out to dinners. It wasn't even that kind of a thing,
So if you'd have to pick 3 people from all your interviewing career, to have dinner with or to have a night out with?
Oh man, so many cool people. Oh wow, there's so like Green Day was awesome, like all of them. Of course, Robert Smith from The Cure. Like, what else is there to say except like legend? This is like probably the hardest question I've been asked in my life. Thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome. I don't even know what I've written down here.
Well played. Well played. Yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Busta Rhymes. That guy is wild and amazing. So probably Busta Rhymes just for like fun factor. Manson for like just I could talk with him about anything.
Deep talk, right?
Yeah, right. Like deep chat. And then, oh man, there've been so many. Who else? I got to throw a girl in there. Yeah. I mean,
don't do it for the quota. Do it because she's really cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like one that's really cool, which there have been so many. Gosh, I mean, Gwen was really cool, and she brought her whole Harajuku girls.
Really?
So I'd probably actually I'm gonna invite the Harajuku girls over Gwen.
As one person.
Yeah, as one.
Okay.
Imagine that.
Wow.
Manson, 50 Cent, and just like a squad of Harajuku girls. Like, perfect.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall there. That sounds really amazing.
Yeah.
No, that sounds
pretty
really
sweet
cool.
gig. That was
Cool. I also, since I'm a occasional poker player myself, I know that you hosted the World Poker Tour and Poker After Dark. So we're not gonna. That's obviously what I watched as a consumer, as on the other side of the television. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but I just have one question that is really important for me personally. Is Daniel Negreanu really that nice? Is he really that nice?
Negreanu has always been insanely nice to me, and that's all I can say. Because that's kind of what happens sometimes too. Like people come on and they're like, "Wasn't this person off?" Oh, I do have to say one person that was awful. Oh my gosh. Jessica Simpson came on, and because I'm like, her hair's beautiful, and like she's so stunning, and there's some history there as well with her. But she came on like, all she had to do was read the teleprompter, and it was like off the bat, it was a nightmare. Like from start to end for that show. Like my producer was like, "I don't know how to help you," and I'm just like, "Somebody help me! I think she hates me." And then her and Johnny Knoxville were pretty obnoxious, and those were the only two in my 5 years of like interviewing everyone from literally gangsters to like Sarah McLachlan. And I've never had, because I think you need a chameleon like type of personality to blend, there's a different energy from, I don't know, Godsmack to, Sarah McLachlan. And then, I had Jeremy Piven on. People are like, "He's such a dick." And I'm like, actually, he was really cool. But that's the thing. That's the problem. It's like, I don't know if you had that person on an off day. I definitely had these two on an off day. And it was nightmarish, like Paris Hilton. I'm just like, "Hello, camera's on. Like, stop looking in the mirror. Like, we're back on live." People are just like, "Oh my God, what's happening up there?" Or what's not happening. But it's Negreanu has always been super
because
kind
he's Canadian, so he's supposed to be nice all the time. But he's also Romanian. And
he can be gangster too.
I think
he likes to ruffle feathers. Like he has no problem telling you how he feels. So
yeah.
There's that,
so.
He'll keep it 100% no matter what, and so will I. But as far, I can only speak to how he's been around me, and I had actually I had very few interactions with him, but the few that I've had, especially like on Poker After Dark, which was eons ago. I'm so old. But yeah,
You're 26, Marianella.
I know, thank you. Hold on.
Welcome.
I'm paying you afterwards. Mit kata bitte. My 3 words that I know how to say auf Deutsch.
Nice.
Yeah, no, he's always been
cool.
pleasant. But yeah, I mean, not everyone feels that way.
I mean, we're all human beings, but I think him being so exceptionally, I mean, he has that reputation. I thought that maybe if the cameras went off, he's just turned Christian.
Just like,
exactly.
Mask comes
American
off.
Psycho, I don't know. Or when he enters the football field because he's playing soccer too. Like, I mean, maybe he gets just very brutal and savagey there. I don't know. He has to release that energy somehow if he's nice 98% of the time.
Yeah.
So
and I mean,
nice.
it's already difficult in that world of like, just to continue to be a name in the world of poker, like 2 decades later, like standing ovation, irrespective of everything else, you know? I mean, if someone's a garbage human, I would just say like that person's garbaggio, but in general, like, you'd have to do something pretty awful to me or in general for me to say something like that.
Okay, cool. How did you get into voiceover then, or into acting and voice? How did you transition from hosting? Was it a conscious decision? Did it happen to you?
Yeah, it actually, all of that occurred while I was here in Vienna. Given my certain life circumstance, I can't really go back to LA or back to the States. And so as you mentioned, I'm a mom, and I was like, man, I'm not going to be like, hosting for Orff anytime soon. Spreche kein Deutsch. So then I figured, like, how do I maneuver? How do I like continue to stay in this world, you know? And the opportunity presented itself actually where, I got to host one thing for Expedia. So I was like out of the game for 4 years, which is basically like TV suicide, you know? It's just
it's eternity in TV life, right?
Yeah, that's a long time to be out of the game, so to speak. But I was, doing this whole thing, which was like growing, birthing, and breastfeeding a child. So I was out of the game. And my agents and managers back home were like, okay, well, if you can't come back to the States, it's not like I'm stuck in the middle of an island. Like I'm still in Vienna's very international, but still I'm missing out on huge opportunities not being in LA. And I went to do this random, Expedia called for this opportunity to go to Panama, and it was such an amazing opportunity. I did all this stuff with like Aboriginal tribes and covering like the culture and the food and the people of Panama. I absolutely loved it. And that was the run and gun TV schedule where it's like, I was there for 8 days. We shot like 12, 13-hour days back to back. Boom. They got their episodes, and I was back in Vienna.
You got up with the camera.
I was literally still breastfeeding my son.
Okay, wow.
It was crazy, but I was so grateful and blessed. I mean, I was severely sleep deprived. It was a crazy time, but this was about 2 years ago, or a little more than 2 years ago now. And I did that. When I came back to Vienna, the producers were like, hey, we need you to voice over the show. So that's my experience with voiceovers, is that I never considered myself to be a voiceover artist. I just was an actress, or I was a host, mainly a host of many TV shows, where I would have to go in the booth, like the VH1 show I did. I'd have to go in the booth and lay out I would voice the show. Travel Channel, same thing. Like, hey, welcome to Florida's top 10 beaches. And it would be me hosting and then in the booth. But I never was really just a voiceover artist. And I consider it, I have so much respect for that field, because it is like, it's a different monster, right? It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's a different industry. Yeah.
So here in Vienna, I went into, that's how I discovered Innenhof Studios, because I was like, okay, they asked me to go in there and shoot and do this voiceover for the show. And it took about 2 hours. And the sound engineer was like, hey, after we wrapped up, he's like, you're really good. Do you do voiceovers? And I said, yeah, no, I don't know.
I just did.
I was like, I just rapped. Yeah, I'm basically an expert. No, but it was that moment where the light bulb went off, and I was like, voiceovers potentially.
Where is my white furry kitten to stroke?
Right. I was like, interesting. Maybe I can pursue this. But it was that light bulb moment where he was like, yeah, you should really. I was like, no, I'm like a host or an actress, but I'm not really doing anything now. And he's like, well, you should consider it, because we don't have a lot when it comes to stuff that we need voiced in English. But when we do, our list is quite short. Like we have like 5 people that we call.
Obviously.
You could be like the 6th or whatever. So then I thought, oh, cool. Like big fish in little pond situation when it comes to voicing stuff in English. And then I vividly remember the next day I went on LinkedIn and I was just like keyboard warrioring, like I'm like voiceover persons in Vienna, and I found you. And then I stalked you and you were like, this chick's crazy. No. I reached out to you. I kind of told you my story and I thought, okay, I guess if I'm going to try this, I want to like reach out to the best here and see if they'll like speak to me to get some advice on how to like pursue a voiceover career in Vienna, like being like that I don't speak German. Like, what kind of success rate are we talking about? But yeah, so that's how it all began, and then that was now 2 years ago, 2 years ago. So I still consider myself to be a baby in the voiceover world, but yeah, the success came like early on. I just hopped on random sites.
But probably because you have a ton of experience in the professional media industry in the wider sense already. It's not like you have to start from scratch. It's a different discipline. Maybe it's like playing a cello versus a violin. It's a different instrument, definitely, but it's not like drums.
It's still in the world of music, and I see that in the realm of entertainment. Like this is one branch that I still consider, at least it's, I don't have to like, because it's already very, it's rough to like, I worked so hard on my career and to have to leave it all behind and not be able to return. That weighs on you heavily because I'm already like not around family and friends. I don't have really like a support system here. So to also be raising my son here alone and then not have my career either, it's like, it's daunting, and it's not getting any younger. So Hilfe. I was like, how do I, like, I'm basically having to start over at like a much later stage in the game. But again, it is like, I feel grateful because I'm like, okay, this is still in the realm of entertainment.
Is it also a bit of a purpose thing, like having a concrete thing to work towards?
Well,
does it give you help or structure or?
Yeah, I mean, I consider that no matter whether for everyone. I mean, I'm like a big fan of Ikigai. I wrote a whole article on it on my blog. That was sidebarred. Like, the creation of my blog came from my desire to want to also spend some time pursuing my other passions. So apart from television, it's like I have other interests and other capabilities, and I'm certified in nutrition, and I'm very passionate about wellness and travel. And one of my wellness articles had to deal with that, where it's called Ikigai, and it's that's actually how they measure health in Japan. It's like number one at the top of the pyramid is Ikigai. It's like, what is your purpose in life? If you don't have a purpose in life, like, you're flailing in the wind, and that actually affects your health so much more than people could understand. I mean, the whole basis of my blog, The Foodist, is it's a play on words like food and Buddhism. I'm not a practicing Buddhist, but it's the element of that what feeds you is a lot more than what's on your plate.
The Foodist is your food blog's name. Just to
FUDDHI. I love when I have to spell it out. I'm like FUDDHIST. Namaste. Yeah. Because people always spell it FOOD. I'm like 99999. But it's a play on words, but essentially it means that, like, people, they talk about wellness and there's such an insane focus on the health, like the food element. And trust me, I've gone down that rabbit hole and I'm trained in that, but there's so much more to health than that. I know women in LA that are drowning in their kale smoothies and they're a nightmare. They're just like, they don't sleep. They hate their life. Like, they're in the worst toxic relationship. They don't have a good, circle of friends around them to support. So how could this constitute health? And then, I really just, I love to write. I love to create content as well. So this was an opportunity to, I know I kind of derailed, but that's why people, like, they go on Instagram, they're like, who the hell is the foodist? I'm like, me.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either.
You're like, who is this person? But I came, so you talked about purpose, and I'm like, I actually wrote a whole article on that, honoring the Japanese. I was like, when it comes to health, we should take a look at cultures that are doing it right, maybe. Like, lowest rates of cardiovascular disease, lowest rates of breast cancer. Like, what are they doing that we're not doing, apart from not stuffing our face with like schnitzel and pretzel and whatever else, like, that has zero nutritional value. there's more to it. It's like the sense of community.
We're going to cut that since we're in Austria, but no. But to become serious again, I think they're one of the oldest people in general of the whole world. Like they just grow to become the oldest because less diseases, better mental health.
Yeah, the same thing with like Ayurvedic. I went and studied and that as well. And I studied Ayurvedic medicine. And then, that's been a really fun part of the journey where creating that blog, I like reached out to tourism companies and was able to do some of my own travels. And I mean, I sought out an Ayurvedic retreat, which is basically a Schloss in the middle of Germany. And it's all about living in accordance with nature. So I'm like, we're just doing it all wrong. Like we're sick because we are like eating too many of the wrong things, like not enough of the right things, and also living at a speed that's just not normal. Like we're not meant to take on all this stimulation. And it's like, where is the purpose? Where is community? Where is, like there's so many elements. Again, what feeds you was more than what's on your plate that are missing. Like you could be doing the kale smoothie and the yoga, but you're in a toxic relationship, or you have no friends around, or you have no circle, or you don't have a sense of purpose. You don't have community. You hate your job. That kind of sucks because don't you show up? Like most people show up 9 to 5 every day for like 50 odd years. Like, that sounds like a nightmare. Like that can't be good for your health, surely. So all of that passion, I was able to kind of dump into this blog. And then while I was doing that, of course, I still had the opportunity to do TV. Now I'm here in Vienna, like I can't really do TV or acting. I mean, we'll see. Maybe those doors will have to. I could, yeah.
No one would understand it. No.
Right.
No, but
everything. I would be like the soap opera, like "Buenos días, soy Marianella Pereira." I would get that role, which I would nail. But
yeah. No, but I've read somewhere recently that the amount of input a person 5,000 years ago, like got in their whole life equals the amount of input we get in one day today.
100%.
Like just to put it in the perspective of
it's insane
what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Of course we're overwhelmed. Of course we have the feeling that it's all too much and too fast, and I don't know. And is that true, or who should I believe? This one, every day is a new, I don't know, opinion or I
mean, we need to change. It's the whole system needs a real restructuring here. It's like we're working like our asses off. Most people, places they don't even like, to make money, to buy shit they don't need, to impress people they don't even give a shit about. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, what are we doing? Like the life is so short. It's one blink and you're gone. And then we're sitting here just like playing the circus of, it's unfortunate.
So you're using your platform and I'm talking like it's a proper platform. It's not like, well, I have 271 followers on Instagram. No, you have like 126,000 followers on Instagram. You're using that to promote that kind of like lifestyle or
life
choices.
That's just life choices that were like, let's make it more sustainable. It's like to feel like shit isn't sustainable, right? It's like to not do the right thing. Like how I just feel like if it makes you happy, it's sustainable. And I feel like the further we get away from what's natural and what's real, like the more of a nightmare our lives become, if you're like not in accordance, if you're not if like what you think, what you say, and what you do aren't really in alignment, like you're gonna have a pretty shitty life. And it's like stepping into your truth, like and just being like embracing simplicity a little bit more. So the overstimulation, of course, it's enough to like make us all dead in a few years. It's just way too much pressure and stress, and it's because it's like, what are we prioritizing here in our lives? Like it's really that simple.
But aren't you then fighting kind of fire with fire there? If it's true, because social media is a big part of overwhelming us, and
I think it's more about like taking something that I know isn't going anywhere, like AI, sadly. Segue, no.
We got to that later.
And using it to our benefit, because a lot of people scream and holler about like how horrible it is. 100%, it's consuming all of our lives. But now that so many eyeballs are on it, I'm like, okay, what can you provide that's going to help other people? Period. It's as simple as that. Or maybe eye-opening, or maybe make someone think, or maybe just encourage someone to be a little nicer or more kind, or like engage in something that actually matters. It's like when you're like Jim Carrey has one of my it's one of my favorite quotes of all time, and he's not even technically a guru or a Buddha, but it's like the effect you have on others is the greatest currency there is, period. And that I don't know, that sits well with me. Like that quote that those words that he spoke sits very well with me. It feels like that's the truth there. Like the effect we have on other people is the greatest currency we have. Like when it's all said and done and the curtains close, like how were you able to impact somebody else's life? And like, what did you bring to them, to others, not about you or about oh, you made it here, you got this certificate, you have this house, you have this car. Doesn't matter. None of that is really, it's kind of irrelevant. So.
And I mean, probably if we would go by social media with this a bit more conscious approach and more less egocentric approach, I think, I don't know, 50-60% of the data garbage wouldn't even be produced, kind of, if it were like, do I really need to say this out loud? I don't know what I drank, what I ate, where I'm going.
Yeah, it would be a much nicer algorithm, right? People yell about the algorithm. I'm like, bro, we control the algorithm. Like, get on board and do the right thing, say the right thing, share the right thing. And then I don't have to look at this chick in a bikini pic being like, I mean, you can scroll through my Instagram and I'm just not, when people say influencer, I don't even know what that, I mean, yes, I technically know what it means, but I come from the TV world. That's why I have a following, period. The people that you see on there are like, I covered NASCAR for a few years. I mean, I have everywhere from poker fans to NASCAR fans to Fuse fans. It depends what show you might have seen me on. You're gonna, and then yes, of course, wellness, and then a lot with travel and tourism. But at the end of the day, the more you put out and what you focus on expands. So it's okay, I'm going to choose to focus on putting out some cool, and I love humor too, some cool, funny shit. And then let's change this algorithm game, even though we know who controls. I mean, it's at the end of the day, somebody's back there with the switches. But it's you get out of it what you put into it, and then don't obsess so much over it. It's this whole dread about social media. It's it's not going anywhere. The robots are coming, guys. We can I don't know. We're gonna have to at some point.
Yeah, but at least it makes me feel better when I think of consuming at least consciously.
Of course.
It makes me feel in a bit more in control and a bit more self-sufficient, if that's the right word. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I also try to, obviously in a way smaller scale, try to use social media on a professional level rather than communicating my private, I don't know, experiences
what you had for lunch.
Exactly. But tell me, let's put you the expert's hat on for a minute. How do you use social media professionally, properly, and maybe even consciously?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, ever since now it's more than a decade ago, but when things started to enter the digital realm, it became kind of necessary, really. You had to. I wasn't even getting hosting jobs unless I had some kind of a social media presence, period, because they wanted people tweeting about it or gramming about it or whatevering about it. So that forced me to say, okay, I think I need to give a few shits about this now. And luckily for me, my love for photography and video and content, that part I just embrace. And I've actually made some incredibly amazing friends all over the world thanks to Instagram. So again, what you focus on expands. I don't focus on this crappy shit content that I could care less about. I started to focus on stuff that brought me joy or that, I don't know, amped me up or made me laugh, every once in a while, I'll just run into a Bruce Lee video or things that are really empowering and or just quotes and stuff that could change your mood in a second, And so, the professional wise, I would have to promote the show that I'm on, or which is something I would probably do if I'm doing a show. I would do it anyway, So I can't even tell you how many times I've turned down I don't know, Tyson chicken wings because they reached out because they want me to promote their drumsticks. I'm like, I don't give a shit about it. I'm not going to do that. And they're like, oh, but we'll pay you $5,000. I'm like, I don't care. You can pay me $500,000. Like, I'm not going to be out there with like drumsticks. It will never capture my attention. So then I thought, okay, what are the brands that I love? What are the people that are doing cool shit? Like, what's the stuff that I can get behind? Awesome. That's where I'm putting my energy. And that's what I'm going to promote. Like the Nama, a juicer that I absolutely am obsessed with. This company reached out to me. I researched the juicer and I was like, this thing is amazing. Okay, like check raise on the Breville. I'm like, perfect. And of course, as my little one is growing and, to me, that's important. I have a whole nother Instagram people don't even know about called Tiny Food Explorers, where I basically am celebrating children's curiosity and their insatiable need to learn and investigate. And like, I want to celebrate in that and I want to magnify it and then guide them on making better food choices. Because what they eat when they're little shapes how they're going to eat for the rest of their life, right? And what they're going to crave. So yeah, things like this where I'm like, this is all social media. But I took advantage of like moments. I was actually going around to schools all over Los Angeles through a program called Enrich LA. I was a garden ranger. I was teaching classes, garden classes that had to do with like health and had to do with growing your food and getting them connected to where like real food comes from. And then I was videoing that and taking pictures. And then I created this whole other platform to encourage, like, let's do more classes outside, garden class. I mean, this stuff it calms down the kids that are very anxious. It gets them calm because we're outside. And then I was doing mindfulness stuff with the kids. And again, like all of this lived on one of my social media pages. So I think there's a way to do it where we don't have to be like, screw the man, or like just drown in the misery that is like, I don't know, Zuckerberg algorithm. But again, it all goes back to like what you focus on expands. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus on good people and good shit and then just promote that or whatever I believe in, whether it's going to cost me a job or not. It doesn't matter. Like if this is my truth, I'm going to voice it and period. And that's it.
Okay. So if I'm summarizing that correctly, it's about authenticity. It's about credibility. So whatever aligns with your personal views, your experience, your what you're living day in, day out, that makes good content. Could you summarize that? Yeah,
because at the end of the day, like what's not truthful, it's so obvious, blatantly like just farce and just it's bullshit. Like you can, this is why there's many reasons why Oprah did well. I mean, when she was around, there was like 4 channels, but when she started out, so it's like easy gig. But in general, she's very genuine and she's very like sits in her truth and great interviewer. I mean, this is it's the same thing with social media. Like, okay, if you want to highlight a quadruple freaking cheeseburger at this spot, cool. I'm highlighting this amazing acai bowl from Blutezeit, where I was this morning, which I'm like, this thing's amazing. It's full of antioxidants. Like,
go on, not dropping names. It's not a problem. We're going to invoice
I literally just had that meal this morning, or else I wouldn't have mentioned it. But I actually didn't share it on Instagram. But yeah, of course, like I'll share food when I'm really passionate about, and I'm really into international cuisine. So if I find like there's a Syrian restaurant right here, and I'm like, oh my, what? I've never seen this place before. Right away went on Google to look at the food. I'm like, oh my God, drooling, like foaming at the mouth. So stuff like that where I'm like, okay, it's an opportunity where I can share food from around the world, fine. But yeah, I'm not interested in like promoting your chicken nuggets or like your drumsticks. Like but I have friends that literally like one day they're selling ramen noodles and like the next day, acquaintances, they're, I don't know, like selling chopsticks. I mean, it's so, I mean, there you could just, it's so obvious that it's just like paycheck. Get your, Bucks card here. And it's, I just can't even, I don't watch that stuff. So my Instagram is quite cool because of course my algorithm is probably quite different from their algorithm,
Yeah. So you have to, I totally get that.
Because there's people sharing amazing content, like really life-changing, amazing content. Or even if you're into, health and like Huberman Labs, like, there's so many people out there like sharing like really important like
I'm in awe. I mean, us doing a small little podcast here, how he's been holding up the quality for I think it's a 2 or even 3 hour format weekly for years. on a friggin' Stanford University professor's level.
Insane.
Not like us talking about, but like, I mean, I really
quality hats off. I mean, he's got some quality people on his show too.
Plus he takes the time to really research and to really choose his partners and I mean, that's a full-time job basically.
It's 100% a full-time job, and that's why he's like he's well
but I mean,
paid,
he is the man when it comes to researchers going media. I don't know.
Absolutely. Him, Asper. I mean, there's so many, but again, like I love going down these rabbit holes where it's like, it's where you decide to put your attention, and it's important, you know? The rest of the time I like to read. So, which is like a lost art. People are like, what are books? Yeah.
But how much importance how important is discipline for you for your social media game? If we're talking, I'm a I don't know, entrepreneur, I'm a self-employed creative person. Most people I'm talking with, they're like, I'm doing all right for a month maybe, or even 3 months, but then I don't know, the first distractions or life happens, and then it's
you mean
midterm or long-term discipline or
I really, to be perfectly honest, like I threw all those rules right out the window. I mean, I don't like, there's no, like everything where it's like, you got to post this many times and you need these many stories. I'm like, no, I post when I want. I put up stories when I feel like it. These are literally my rules. Guys, don't follow them because you might fail at like the social media game. I'm already warning you. But it just kind of worked out for me, because then it turned out that like people don't want, like, they don't need to see your content like every second of the day, actually. And when you ghost for a little bit and come back with actually something that you have to say, they pay attention, you know? So it's like, you don't need to flood they're already flooded enough. It's like, open your mouth when you really have something to say. And the rest of the time, I mean, it depends. Obviously, if you're working as like a content creator for a brand, sure. I mean, that's a brand and they have like
but then that's
products,
your job, right?
And then that's your job. But if you as a personality, of course, I think that it's important for you to show that you have a voice. Like I remember we had this conversation where you would tell me, I don't know, like a million amazing commercials you did. I was like, what? That was your voice? I thought I heard you. I'm like, you don't post. I didn't even know. I wouldn't even know that you got this commercial and that. And we're talking like, you know, I mean, not to big you up, but I mean, we're talking about really big brand names like Germany, here, worldwide, everywhere. And I would just have no idea. And in that regard, I kind of like, I was like, you know?
Yeah, you straightened me, and I'm catching up. I'm catching up.
It's like, you literally whipped me, and it was painful.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to stay on it, and obviously, I didn't give it that much attention a couple of years ago because, it's not my job. It's a distraction. It's a private thing, for example. But since I started using it, I also got to see some of the benefits, at least on that way smaller stage, way smaller scale, and I like it as a supportive instrument.
Right.
I don't know how some people build their careers on this.
No.
I really
again we're talking about like the noodle person, and the next day they're promoting like some shitty cruise or like that's the career, but you don't. I mean,
but also like. Sustaining that business model. I mean, I love what I do, and I'd love to do that for the next 30 years as I've done it for the last 15 or something. The other thing, what you're describing, would be hire for money and exchange for like clear, that is what I'm paid for. That is what I'm delivering.
Right.
And when I'm done. It's not. I can't imagine that being a passion. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's not. And I got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do what I don't want to do. Period. Like, am I going to starve? No. Obviously, like I'm going to make sure that I'm always employed on some front, but I don't want to do what I don't want to do. And when I want to do something, I promote it heavily because I want to do it. And that's kind of like, that's where I am, and that's where I am on Instagram too. And honestly, I think that it works best that way, actually. And so with you, it's like, yeah, it's more of like me because I know, well, for my VO journey, like, yeah, you are such a great coach and you have done so many things. It would just be cool for people to see that. And so like without going into, and I know that you also love to write and like, you go off the rails like me. It's like 17 paragraphs in and I'm like, bro, it's Instagram. Like they need like,
exactly.
I mean, we're 10 seconds and we're out, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot. But yeah, I mean, even if it's just moments, because again, you coach a lot of people and like, and that's also how they like listen and watch your stuff and then they learn, you know? So that's like, you're again, providing value. This is like the effect you have on others. Like, I mean, you're raising people's stock by like showing like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm working on. Or even just like obviously I don't expect you to give away all the golden nuggets you do in your workshops, but yeah, I mean, just throwing out a couple of tips here and there that'll help people like, I don't know, survive the insanity now that is like everything that's happening in the VO world, which I'm a baby to, but like AI or contracts. I mean, I'm lucky because I have you on speed dial and like I'm like, this poor man, he's just going to block me soon because sometimes I'll get a contract and I'm like, I don't understand what this is about. Like, what are these rights? What are these?
I wanted to ask you about it. Tell me about your experience in the difference regarding the differences between, let's put it in a big part, like hosting, acting, US versus Europe, voiceover. What's the big hurdles? What's the differences?
I mean, it's all so different. I think like obviously for all of it, acting, hosting, and voiceover, like it all requires a degree of presence and preparation, right? And professionalism. But they're all so different. I mean, for acting, you're going to be preparing a lot more for a role than you would for like a VO gig that you just audition for and then book and then you just like go on, you know, and you just Zoom or whatever and you guys record. Like there's so much more preparation for that. For hosting, again, requires preparation, but this is, I mean, you're not rolling up in sweatpants and like your hair in a ponytail. This is, you need to be fully glammed out. And there's that whole added stress of being camera ready, not messing up depending if it's live or not. Whereas out of I just came from, I mean, I'm doing now Triton Poker Tour and it's like the most elite poker tournament in the world. And yeah, I mean, this is live. I mean, I'm interviewing these guys when they're finishing, I don't know, sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4 in the morning. We don't know. And then the next day I got to shoot the TV show element part of it. So it's like we're following action as it happens. So like the bits are being written, like we're writing the bits together as the action's unfolding. We've got, I don't know how many events going on, like PLO. I mean, it's insane. And that's, I mean, I have to wear like a gown and heels. I mean, look at me. Like, this is my go-to. This is, I mean,
That's how I know you, yeah.
Unacceptable for television. So yeah, so then they're just such different animals. And then in the voiceover world, clearly I'm a deer in headlights. I mean, at least for TV and acting, I have representation. And I think that's the big difference. Like here, this is why I leaned on you and of course, rights-wise, it's totally different. Let's be honest, you're getting more paper in the States. Like definitely getting paid more if you're doing well there. The rates are a bit different. But apart from that, I literally have no idea what I'm doing. And every time I get an offer, it like, I don't know, it sounds good. And then I'm like, I don't know the rights. I don't have to. So I'm still learning that. It's like I'm 2 years in and there's still questions, you know, like
So many more like work fields fall back to you, right? Since as an actress, as a host, as a TV host, or you have an agent who negotiates.
Yeah, I'm not worried about contract because I have them to be like angry, mean people that are just like not enough money, you know, like this isn't right. And now it's like I have to like zoom in with like I don't know 9 people. Remember that one that we did when it was like the California Department of Public Health? It was like 1 million people online, like you engineering all of a sudden. I was like, I had no idea what was happening. Thank God I was just in your booth, like, give me the copy, let me do this, like, let me just do what I got paid to do. And then of course, it's the after stuff. It's not even the before. It's like all of a sudden they're like, hey, so we're going to need another cut down. I'm like, what does that mean, Patrick? And then it's like, yeah, we want to go global. but like tier 1, tier 2 markets, what's the difference? I'm like, I don't know. What global is global, right? So then it's like it's all this murky water of, I just don't, what in the hell? Why isn't it? It's a lot clearer, I'll be honest. TV wise, it's like the agents, they know the numbers and then they just go to war, you know? But voiceover world, it feels a little like like we don't, I don't know.
Yeah. It's not regulated in that sense, and I think it's a big responsibility to negotiate for yourself. It's way easier to negotiate for somebody else, but knowing your worth and like standing by it and declining offers when people who are trained to negotiate day in, day out, because they negotiate with, I don't know, 10 different branches every day since they're making up a whole production.
Yeah.
It's their job to make this project as good and as cost effective as possible at the same time. So, and you're kind of on your own. I think that's a big relief when you have agents and people who also you can deploy to say, well, I'm sorry, I'm just the artist.
Right.
But in voiceover, that's not really happening. To some degree, there are some agencies who really represent you in your best interest, but not on that level as it is.
Yeah, and even the agents, because I was talking to another friend that I made here, that also happens to be an actress from LA, and she's married to an Austrian, has been living here for quite a few years now. Just went 100% voiceover with it. And I thought, okay, now clearly it's time for me to get an agent, right? And she's like, not necessarily. Like they don't make it it's not like they have all the answers either. I was like, what? I mean, that shocked me. I'm like, wait, what do you mean? They don't know anything that we don't. I'm like, wait, huh? But wouldn't they sort it out? And she's like, not necessarily. I mean, I was shocked to hear that. I'm like, okay, well then I'll be a free agent and just, I don't know, throw out numbers.
Yeah, but you have to become kind of your own business owner, right? You have to know the numbers. You have to know your rights. You have to know who you talk to. You promote yourself. You do your own books, or if you earn enough, you pay someone to do your books. But still, you have to do your social media. You have to negotiate for yourself.
That part for me is easy. It's all the rest of the rest of the stuff is like you're really taking on that whole role. I mean, that's why you pay this person 10, 15% because
or 20 or 20. Yeah.
So I'm like, I just call you and I go, help.
It has a reason why I'm not an agent, because I love to work in this field, and this is my first love and my main job actually, and I'm happy to help people to help themselves to know their shit better. But
well, you want to you don't want to give the people the fish. You want to teach them how to fish, and that's what's so important.
I don't want to get in between you and the job and say, well, I'm the guy who knows better, and I'm the representative. Or
no, but it's about, like you're saying, know the worth and defending, because it's like they're going to pull a fast one on. I mean, like I'm not going to mention names, but it's like even just now, like there was a VO situation where they're like, oh, we only have X amount of money. All of a sudden, it like quadrupled overnight. When I was like, that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
Find somebody else.
If you ask the right questions, right?
Right. And then but the first gig we did, it cracked me up so much when you told me, I think it was via email or text. I don't know. I think you have it on a quote I think you put it on Instagram, where you basically were like, you got to put your balls on the table. And I was like, done. Every time I feel like I'm getting, bamboozled by these fucks, I'm sorry. I mean, you know the rates, right? I mean, you've done this before, right? This is not your first rodeo. So it feels very just like, what can we get away with this little girl, Yeah,
but it goes both ways. It has its upsides too, that it is a free market, because if you can negotiate properly, if you know your shit and know and can afford, that's also a very elitist thing to say, but also can afford to decline for a couple of weeks or a couple of gigs because the conditions aren't right. Then you get there where you get over the business average, the industry average, which makes it interesting, because I like to be my own master, so to speak. I don't want to, because that's the other thing. If I were an agent, I'd have to put a finalized offer in front of you and say, take it or leave it. And I hate that. That picture to presumably know better for you in your personal situation what's a good deal to take and what not.
Yeah. But I consider that to be like, I'm not above, because my current situation has me being like, okay, I want to do any and all, like I want to, because I'm also starting out. So for me, it's like practice. I'm like, okay, I audition, I do a gig. It's still great, like decent money. Okay, not like the highest paying gig. So the onset isn't the problem. Like I'm almost like welcoming, not of everything, but of a lot of things. So I'll go on these sites because I also consider myself to be like a newbie in this world. So I'm like, okay, it's all practice, and I just audition a bunch, and I think it's good because different ranges and different types and different styles, and that's a riot too. I just find myself like laughing to myself, and I'm like, wait, dark but not sarcastic, but funny, but also serious and confident. Oh, and super light, but also evil. And like just like the descriptors, I'm like, okay, I think I can nail this. Like, what the hell? This person doesn't know what they want. So that whole process is also kind of fun for me too. But it's more about like you book the gig, and then all of a sudden, it starts to be like, we're going to want you for 2 years now. I'm like, well, you're going to have to pay for 2 years then, that's when the negotiating gets a little bit, that's where, because the ball is in your court. Because it's like, do they want to redo the whole recording? Doubtful. So now I need to know what number, you know what I mean? I'm literally calling you and like, Alex, I'm like, numbers. What does Sprecherverband say? That's the world that I'm currently finding myself in. But yeah, it's still fun. And I still have a lot of work to do in that. There's so much more I want to do in the space. And even with like studios here in Vienna, where I still am like a nobody. I mean, nobody knows me, maybe like one or two know me, but there's many, many more studios, and making those introductions. And like you said, it's a long game, this is like.
Is it eating you up that it's also a lonesome game sometime? Like you feeling alone against, I don't know, the industry or
no, because I think I'm just so like, you just don't know how happy it makes me to be able to like do a job in like sweatpants and like just like a wife beater or whatever I'm wearing, like a garbage bag, which is like my favorite attire. I look like a homeless person. I mean, it's because it's from so many years of having to be like, depending what the show is. Like, for example, Poker After Dark, we're talking about, I mean, this is analog, right? This is just nationally syndicated. Like, it's proper. It's NBC. It's like right and tight, suit up or gown up. For me, heels on, like 2 hours of hair and makeup, or they're like putting somebody else's face on my face. And it's just like, ugh, that's really the part that I hate. I'm not a girly girl in that regard. Like, I get it, but that's, whereas like the Travel Channel show is so much fun. They're like, you're going to go and feed sharks today. I'm like, woohoo, perfect outfit. I know what I'm going to wear. You're going to go kite surfing. You're going to jump out of the plane. I'm like, okay, this, I can like more this Red Bull stuff, or like ESPN was like more chill. But in general, it's like, you got to be so, whereas voiceover, I'm like, it's just me in a booth, just let's go, flowing, But yeah, I'm still like, I don't know, like I'm just on one. I first started off on like Voices 1, 2, 3, which is a nightmare, and then I got on Bodalgo thanks to you, and I've had some luck on there. What I started to see what was happening was that I would book a gig with a certain sound studio, and then they liked working with me, and then I just kept getting emails like just through them, not even through the main platform. But that's it. And to be honest, I have, because I'm going through some personal stuff now. Like, I haven't really, apart from traveling to do the Triton stuff, which I'm super blessed to be able to do that tour, because a lot of the stops are in Europe, apart from, I just came back from South Korea. But in general, every few months I go do like 2 weeks of that. Cool. And that's been really cool, because that can like float me, like it's, at least it is back to TV, it's poker. But yeah, VO wise, I've taken a back seat, but I'm happy, because I still feel like that's something where I can just go on and be like, okay, what's on? Like, even today, I got a notice for a good like audition, and I'm still trying to figure out that algorithm, because I was told actually by someone that was like, no, if it says like there's still 10 hours left, you're better off like basically like putting that demo in like the last hour before it closes. And then somebody else was like, no, you want to front end it. So it's like, I haven't figured out that world or algorithm.
That's
but
a mystery to me too. I really am not good with this. But talking about algorithms and going from analog to digital, how's your, like, did you have any personal touching points with AI already in your professional career? Did you, and how do you feel about it? That about the potential threat,
the looming
luring
threat.
All
I feel
us.
like it's probably affected me in ways that I don't even know, which is the scary part.
Okay,
I
fair
really don't know, but I'm talking more generalized, not so specifically about voiceovers, because again, I'm so new to this world, so like I've yet to encounter like Marianella versus bot situation, or Marianella is bot, or Marianella literally converted into a bot. I mean, I like that still hasn't. I haven't
but
treaded
also
those
like
waters.
With the picture taken and misused or something like that.
I mean, that's like eons been going. That's honestly, I've been dealing with that for quite literally for forever.
Okay.
So, but now, of course, like things are getting scarier as far as
it's on steroids now, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean. Yeah, even what they're doing now, I mean, in the midst of war, it's like they're using like AI lavender, like these systems that are just, everything's controlled by bots. It's insane. It's really like, there's no, like humans aren't overseeing. It's just like, okay, the bot said so, you know, like what?
Yeah.
I mean, how is this legal?
Yeah.
I mean, it's very Black Mirror, like, the worst possible Black Mirror episode you could fathom. But as far as it affecting me personally, I still haven't, like I said, I feel like sadly it's most likely affected me in ways that I don't even know yet. So
you couldn't make a difference between, let's say, I don't know, it's way more progressed in the US. So for the English speaking market, you're kind of on another level than on for example, the Spanish speaking market,
right?
Which isn't that far trained or that good.
Yeah.
That
I
far
feel
developed.
like, again, and that's where, speaking of the Spanish speaking market, like I've done nothing. I mean, I know for my demo, which you helped me record, we threw in like something like a Garnier in Espanol, like, you know, a very like just commercial type. But I've done nothing in the, and again, I don't know what, well, first of all, the opportunity never presents itself. It's like the same thing that happened with hosting in the States, where my agents at the time, they were just like, the high paying gigs are in English. Like we're never going to put you on like Telemundo or, I mean, I did do, while I was at ESPN, the EP from ESPN Deportes had me come on once a week to do Redes. And Redes was the Spanish version of Unite, of the show that I hosted. And I was so slammed with my show, but like once a week I would hop on and do Redes, which was so exciting because I'm like, finally I have a reel of me like speaking Spanish, guys. Like, you guys know I speak Spanish, right? No, nobody cares. Okay. I mean, maybe here in Europe, that's another play I might look into. No pun intended, but it's like me being such a huge football fan, like, you know, Premier League and just covering, you know, the opportunity to cover, I don't know, like La Liga and, like, you know, to do stuff in Espanol. But voiceover wise, nothing. I mean, a lot of it has to do with, it's like, of course, they want the neutro Spanish, which is basically speaking of bot. It's like you being a bot. It's like you speaking Spanish that nobody in the world speaks.
So neither the Spanish themselves, nor, I mean, I don't know, the Mexicans, the
it's that's such a thing. And it kills me. Randomly, I think there were 2 auditions where it said Spanish, Argentine Spanish. I hopped on that faster than like butter on bread. I was like, listen, I'm the girl. I'm the girl. Stop auditioning. So I was so excited to be able to speak Espanol, like Argentinian Spanish, which I'm like, why aren't we? It just feels so shitty. Like, why aren't we embracing like, I love the way like Colombianos speak one way and Salvadoreños speak another way and Mexicanos speak and then Cubanos, like, it's all beautiful, and it just pisses me off that like we're forced to, especially in the TV world, you have to be neutro. You have to speak, bot Spanish. Like, what is that? Like, nobody speaks that.
So mid-Atlantic, kind of, right?
Yeah, whatever the hell that means. I mean, like,
that's coming from nowhere, not distinguishably from England nor from the US.
They just don't want you to alienate audiences. And I'm like, screw that. I mean, I just love it. And those are my favorite like VO gigs where something that has a little more personality that isn't, because yeah, of course, like the business ones are like, all right, these industrials, like they're easy gigs, but they're so boring.
But is it what they're looking for in a voice artist when they book one? Not to alienate people, or rather for a personality, maybe edgy, maybe that works for that market and less for the other.
Yeah,
how's your experience?
That's the thing. It depends on the casting, right? I mean, but that's what I mean. Like me personally, I like goo gaga over the ones where you can be a little more tongue in cheek and a little more genuine, and not, we could do the standard, like, AI Industries has been supplying whatever, snore fest. But yeah, I mean, they pay okay. They're like easy to do. So we're grateful for that. But yeah, as an artist, you want to do something that's got a little, either something that's doing something to effectively, like a documentary that you did recently. It's just something that's a little bit more important, or at least funny, or you want to have a little more fun or educated. Yeah,
something more than just the delivery of words,
right?
For
which
money.
is bought. So that's where I'm like, all right, like AI, I check raise you. Like you can't be me, bro. You can't. Like if you can't, like you can be me, like, welcome to the supply chain. You can be that. You can take those gigs. Like I'll let you have them, but eventually it's like they can't. We win. Like they're not. No, humans are gonna still win.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean,
your words in God's ears.
Yeah.
No, I think so too. It's probably before that winning scenario, there will be a dry time, and a time that humanity needs to oversaturate on this form of entertainment.
Because businesses are like, oh yay, we paid $2, and it's like we have this bot voice, and then you know what's going to happen? The world is going to be like, I want to listen to a human that like that really I can vibe with, and that I know
farts.
that isn't like, I want like flatulence. That's what I want. Okay, this is what I'm after.
Yeah.
I want a real fucking human being that you can tell that this isn't a bot. So people are going to be tired of like the bot voice. Like humans are not that. Well, we're pretty stupid, but in general, like it's. I think it's. Trust me, like there'll be a demand for, okay, we're over that. Now we want real, genuine voice, and they're gonna have to pay for it.
Yeah, maybe there's going to be two markets coexisting. One where money talks, and where it's more important that it's, I don't know, a couple of $100 cheaper,
right.
And one where I don't know, humanity talks, or personality is key, or Trump, or
yeah, because in one of the big. We won't say names, but yeah, the bigger brand thing that I just did now that we're still negotiating, I mean, they 100% they needed it to be very much humanity and very not bot. And this is like a big German brand, and they were not interested in the bot sound at all. So I'm like, okay, this is good news. Again, I'll try to stay in the light there, because I know there's enough darkness in the bot world.
And I think at the moment the picture is getting it crumbles a little bit from the big like promises and the big like let's put it like a sales pitch or something that the AI developing industry put on the whole world, like the magic of we're gonna solve every problem is not gonna happen.
AI is gonna put you to sleep, literally.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that this picture is crumbling a little bit at least, and we probably will take another, I don't know, couple of years to find our way with it.
Yeah.
To work with it as a tool, which is undeniably is a mighty one.
Yeah.
But I'm also hopeful, almost certain that there will be a creative industry, and there will be
100%
stuff to do for human beings, for the need from humans to communicate with other humans.
100% that's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it.
Cool.
Just gonna embrace the bot.
Yeah, sure. No, I mean you can just you can stay cautious and vigilant or something like that. You don't have to. I think now more than ever, it's important to check where your data goes.
Right.
To check what happens with your product after you poured it into the microphone?
Yeah.
Or what contract is behind it? What did you have to sign to when they waved around with these big dollar bills?
Yeah, I remember for one other contract, like there was an AI part, and I was just like, hold please. I reached out to you to be like, I need the official clause, what's the clause that gets me out of bot world,
Yeah, no, it's because it happens every day. And if you even gave active and informed consent, then it's really not much you can do about it in the aftermath.
Exactly, yeah.
If you've been tricked, it's a whole different story.
Right.
But most like proper industries now are either not working with it, or if they're working with it, they're trying to get your consent to avoid legal battles. Because obviously, if they misuse it without telling you or tricking you into it, you have an easy legal battle.
Yeah, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. So that's
for sure.
Yeah, that's a two-part question. What's your prognosis for the industry, creative industry as a whole, for the next couple of years, let's say 5 years? And if there's something you could wish for, like I'm God for one day, and I could just wish for that, and it became true, what would that be?
Probably for humanity to prevail. And that would be my number one wish, for everyone living on Earth to have the exact same human rights. That would be my number one wish. And as far as the business, creatively, of course, because we're dealing with this AI chapter, I guess it's also kind of a wish, and I don't know if it's a prognosis with a wish involved there. But yeah, that we can focus a lot more on the creative aspect. And because we're entering this bot world, there actually will be a shift into, I want something that's a lot more humane. I want something that brings a lot more energy. I want something that feels genuine. I always said this about, and it's not because, I'm not honestly not saying this because I'm Argentinian, but the commercials they produce in Argentina are mind-blowing. Like, they're so full of emotion.
Really?
I will, after we leave here, I will just I'll just blast you with links, but especially the World Cup ones. But just in general, even like beer commercials, and like, they're just so incredibly witty. They're so brilliant. They're so fucking funny. And that's my prognosis, is that because we're in this like algorithm bot world, like more of that. People are itching for more of that, for connection, and like, I'm sorry, like, no, you can't. I don't care how many ways you slice and dice my voice, like, you're not going to be able to bring that, especially with, like, as you mentioned, working with other people. So my prognosis is actually that it's going to start to U-turn back into, okay, we want like the cool kids on the block, like
the real kids.
The real kids, yeah. We want the real kids. We want, this is, that's, I don't know if it's a prognosis, more of a wish than a prognosis, but yeah.
A self-fulfilling prophecy, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Vielleicht. I like to throw out the few Deutsch words I know.
Yeah, please. You have a couple of minutes left. Now, please present your German knowledge now.
Das Brot. As far as food, I've got that Essen I've got down.
Very good.
But thanks so much for having me. I mean, you gave me this wonderful little.
Yeah, I can't give it to you for good. It's just your companion for this talk.
I take back the thank you. No.
Since I took it away from my daughter.
Okay.
She lent it to me, obviously, but I have to give it back.
Such a great companion.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for the amazingly funny and quick-witted talk. And I hope to welcome you back at some point. And so this was it. Thank you for staying with us. And special thanks to Charlie Glawischnik from Video Studio Wien for filming and for post-producing this film. And also to Lukas Wurm for audio post-production. See you next time.
Tschüss. Ciao, ciao. Adios. Gute Nacht. No, I don't know what time this is airing.
Perfect.